Thank you there, Amina. Well, I'm now joined by Professor Ken Ife, a development economist, to talk more on the positive economic growth indices. Professor, you heard from our business news. Has inflation really dropped? What does it mean for the economy?
It is dropping, as you could see from the figures. But again, the good thing is that it adds to a litany of good news this year, led by the robust performance of the capital market. And then, of course, for the first time, we have IMF predicting a much higher order of growth of 3.6% compared to our 3.5% of our ERGP plan. So that's also good news. And then you saw the likes of World Bank and Fitch coming in just under to 2.6, 2.5%. So a drop in inflation rate, as is shown, has two sides to it. One is that the core index is actually dropping from 12.2% to 12.1%. But what has pushed up the figure is because the food index, the food basket itself, decreased. That is actually at a much higher. It's from 20.2 down to 19.4. So that is why you find the aggregate, when you put the weight, that's why it comes to about 15.37. But otherwise, but for the problem with the food, we would have had a much lower inflation. But the thing about this problem of food is not that we're not producing, we're doing extremely well in food production, though we could do with a better rate. But the thing is that we are surrounded by French countries having a franc CFA, and our currency is devalued about 50%. So our grains are going out to those countries. So we're exporting our jobs. What that means in effect is that we need to put more investment in agro-processing. Because if you look at the growth figure in last year, end of last year, GDP growth figure, even though we have over 8% growth in industries, the manufacturing subsector of industries had a negative growth. So we really need to go into agro-processing, which is manufacturing, to connect those two, where we are performing very badly and where we are paying a huge price because we're exporting grains and crops rather than processed food. So we need to close that gap.
Nigeria's capital market witnessed 1.7 trillion naira gain within 8 days, coupled with the fact that the World Bank, IMF and Fitch ratings predict stronger economy in 2018. What areas would you say are the key drivers?
Now, one thing that, remember, towards the end of last year, the CBN promised that there will be more normalization of monetary policy, at least in this first quarter. And now the spread between the oil price now heading to $70 or more against a benchmark of 45%, or $45 means we have about $25 to play with. So it's going to strengthen the hands of the CBN to push for more flexibility and then put more money into critical sectors like intervention funds in agriculture and in the real sector. So I can see better growth coming out, and I'm going to see stronger performance from the stock market. And of course, we are going to see more drop in the inflation in line with the predictions of the economic growth and recovery plan. I think it's all beginning to come together, but not as rapidly as we would have expected, but there are good signs. All macroeconomic indices are converging and heading in a positive direction, led by a robust plan, and we're going to keep to that plan.
Inshallah. Amen. Thank you so much. I say amen to that. Thank you so much, Prof.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Well, let's all say amen to that. We'll now continue with the news. Efforts to ensure improved and steady revenue to the Federation account has continued as stakeholders in the Nigeria's maritime industry and the NNPC exchange views on the best way for the export of Nigeria's crude oil. At a crucial meeting in Abuja, NNPC says input gathered will help the government to adopt appropriate option that will derive maximum benefits for the nation. Minister of State Petroleum Resources Ibe Ikachuku, while addressing participants, said this is the best time to determine the best system for export crude oil in view of fluctuating oil prices in the international market. Both Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Dr. Mekanti Baru, and the Director General of NIMASA, Dakuku Peterside, The statement explained will help in tackling challenges affecting government, such as liability issues in the export of crude oil. We now join Ademola in Lagos. Over to you, Ademola.
Thank you, Awa. It's good to see you again, and welcome to Lagos. Relief materials worth over 100 million naira have been presented to the Lagos State government for